thank you for watching. Time to have some fun with Bat Dad, who realizes that Mormons are crazy and wrong. Bat Dad, calm down. Alrighty. Mormons are not even Christians. Bat Dad, if Mormons aren't even Christians, how do you account for so many times where the Book of Mormon tells us good things about Jesus Christ, tells us to have faith in Him, that He is the only source for salvation, that He is Jehovah? 15 minutes or more. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance if you switch to Geico. Okay, I guess you are stumped on that one, Bat Dad. Bat Dad, you claim there's nothing God's ever given us other than the Bible. Is that right? That is right. There is no book God has ever given us other than the Bible. Alright, well, Bat Dad, how about if you cite a chapter and a verse which clearly says that God is not going to give any other books, that God can't give any other books. Not a verse that says that man should not add to the Bible. Man should not add his own ideas to the Bible. He's tried to learn from God. But where does it specifically say God can't do anything? 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Switch to Geico. Okay. So, Bat Dad, when I hear you describe God, it sounds a lot like the Nicene Creed and some of those other old creeds that were put together by early Catholics. Yeah, God has no parts, no passions. He's small enough to fit into our hearts and big enough to fill the expanses of space. Bat Dad, please tell me which chapter and verse in the Bible just says what you said. I'll look it up. I really do want to understand the issue and see if there's something I've overlooked. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance if you switch to Geico. Okay. Bat Dad. There's some things that you claim Mormons are really wrong about Satan. Please tell me the biblical verses, and I'll look them up because I want to understand. Maybe I overlooked something. Biblical verses where it talks about Satan's origins and says things that are contradictory to the Mormon understanding. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance if you switch to Geico. Maybe we need to talk about another topic, Bat Dad. Because you keep having trouble answering my questions. I did answer them. Actually, you didn't. You just changed the subject. Alrighty. Now, the three witnesses of the Book of Mormon, Martin Harris, David Whitmer, and Oliver Cowdery, every single one of them left the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and became disassociated with Joseph Smith. If Joseph Smith was a fraud, if they never saw the plates, why do we not have reliable sources that show them denying their testimony? 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance if you switch to Geico. Okay. You claim the Bible is the only thing God has ever given us, Bad Dad. But the Bible as we have it now was not assembled until 300 and something AD. They were not passing around the Bible in the year 40 AD. How do you know books were not put in there that shouldn't have been? Books were not taken out that should have been in there. How do you... And if you're certain about that, nothing is missing from that, why aren't you Catholic? Because by claiming the inerrancy of the Bible, you're giving some credit to the Catholic Church for receiving revelations from God about what to put in it. 15% minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Switch to Geico. Alrighty. So, Bat Dad, you vociferously claim there is no pre-existence. That Mormons are nuts and anti-biblical for believing that we existed before we were born on this earth. But in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, we find out that God knew Jeremiah before he was born. It does not say God knew about Jeremiah, but knew him. And Jesus Christ was asked by his apostles if the blind man was born blind because he sinned. Obviously, if we're talking about condition he was born with, they must be talking about a sin that existed before he was born, in a pre-existence. Or did his parents sin? That would be a great place for Jesus Christ to let us know there is no pre-earth life, if there was no pre-earth life. Please, help me out here, Bat Dad. Can you explain it? Why we should disbelieve there's a pre-existence based on those scriptures. You're a cult. You're a cult. Mormons are a cult. Want to just use that scary word? Cult? Is there a cult around here? Okay. Now I'm over that fright. Okay, if God is bodiless, Bat Dad, you gotta help me out on this one. Why would the word image be used to describe God's creation of us? He made man after his image. And if it was a bad translation, I'm sure Dennis Prager would have pointed that out, because Dennis Prager reads and knows the Hebrew and sometimes talks about things, but Dennis Prager uses the word image and doesn't say, actually image isn't the best translation for this Hebrew word. This Hebrew word is better translated into the English word something else. Image is what you look at. It's not your character. It's not what you think or feel. So, doesn't that kind of point to God having a body? 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Switch to Geico. Alrighty. Let's see. Yeah. So, one thing you accuse us of being nuts for believing is that we can become like our Father in heaven. But Bat Dad, I became like my earthly father. I became sort of like my earthly mother. I did not grow female parts, but I grew up to become a human adult. Like my father and mother. My son is going to grow up and become an adult like me. So, isn't it sensible of us to think, since God said we call him Father, that we might become like him, like we become like our earthly fathers? You're just trying to overthrow God. You rebels who think you're going to kick God out of heaven and kill him. And Okay, Bat Dad, you just said things we don't believe. I'm never going to be greater than my Father in heaven. I'm going to learn from him to be like him, and always, he will always be my God. He will always be greater than me. I'll always need to learn from him. Alrighty. So, let's talk about baptisms for the dead for a minute, Bat Dad. You see, there's one little verse, and you grab that verse, and then you build on it and make up a story out of that one little verse. That's what you Mormons do. Wow, okay, thanks for letting me know what you think about us, Bat Dad. But, when it comes to marriages in heaven, there's one little story that's repeated twice in the Gospels where Sadducees bring up the issue and ask Jesus a question. And Jesus says there will be no more marrying or giving in marriage. That verse just means people aren't going to be getting married there. It doesn't mean they're going to not stay married there if they were married the right way on earth. But I digress. Are you doing the same thing about that one little verse that's repeated twice, but it's the same story? So in a way it's one verse. Aren't you doing the same thing with that one little verse that you just accused us of doing about baptisms for the dead? Mormons are crazy. Anti-Christian cult. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more if you switch to Geico. Thank you for watching my attempt at a humorous or satirical way to make some points about the gospel. You have a good day.